Welcome back to the channel, Racer X here, and I'm back with my good buddies at the Lewisville Autoplex. You guys have seen me film quite a bit at the Hearst Autoplex, but Lewisville Autoplex happens to have a really unique vehicle. I want to show that to you today. I want to talk about really the ultimate unicorn Mopar car that is still out there. My thoughts on that, also some thoughts on what's going on with the pricing of these things, because it's just a crazy, crazy time in the automotive world. So anyway, I can't wait to share that with you guys. Also, if you are new to my channel, do me a big, gigantic favor, hit subscribe. You can find that right down there at the bottom because I've got tons of great content coming up this year. Also, hit that notification bell, and here we go. It's crazy when you think about just how many dealerships are really struggling right now to get inventory, but for some odd reason, both Hearst and Lewisville Autoplex here in the Dallas Metroplex, they get all these really awesome cars. You can do see a 5.0 there, but you can see you got a Boss 302. This is a Super Snake. That is actually a 2008 car, but a very good looking vehicle there. And then of course you jump over here, you do get the supercharged Lambo. It's a Gallardo there. And of course you got C8s. The Hearst Autoplex has plenty of these guys as well. So a lot of cars here. Of course you can jump over here, you can see your Grand Sports. More C8 action. You got a Z06 and a convertible right here. They've got more of these up front. That is a 1700 horsepower ZR1. That's a C6 ZR1. These are super hard to find, and this is a built engine with a Pro Charger on it. Really, really nasty. And check out this mint condition Prowler. You never see these things on the road anymore. And this thing has like almost no miles on it. So just kind of shows you looking down the row just how cool some of their inventory really is. Guys, take a look at some of the other amazing cars they have here at the Lewisville Autoplex. I mean, you can see we've got Corvettes here. You've got electric Porsches. You've got more C8 Corvettes. Check out this bad boy. This is an RS6. One thing I noticed about this car, look at the size of brake calipers on this thing. They make a Hellcat's brake calipers look tiny, but this is actually a really rare car. And check out this bad boy over here in the corner, just lurking, a Bentley Bentayga. And this one has a very special package on the inside of it as well that's got a little bit more luxury even than a normal Bentley. But look at this inside of this thing. This is bad to the bone. When it comes to luxury, I mean, man, check out the, even check out the door. Check out the weave on this thing. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous vehicle. I mean, you just don't see this from really anybody in terms of how luxurious the inside of this is. I wish you guys could smell how good it smells inside of this. This thing has less than 1,000 miles on it. Even the key to this thing is pretty darn cool. So just thought I would show you guys that. Pretty neat. Now, this is the car that I wanted to talk about. That is a Gen 5 Viper GTS. These cars are one of the hardest cars to find on the market right now, and it is just insane what has happened with really all the car prices, but especially on Vipers. Yes, they only made these up until 2018, so just finding a Viper at all, whether it's a Gen 1 through a Gen 5, is really, really hard to do because people are just holding on to these things. And I tell you what, I've had so many thoughts in my head about how cool it would be to have a Viper. I mean, nothing looks like this. This is Dodge's true original hand-built supercar. Kind of a one-of-a-kind vehicle. Nothing else has the road presence of something like this. And just what a fantastic beast. But the prices have gone nuts. Every time I walk around a Viper, I can't help but think this is one of the most beautiful cars out there. Yes, I realize you've got your McLarens and your Lambos and your Koenigsegg's and all those different super exotic cars, you know, and there's Ferraris, and there's a whole mix of things out there that you could potentially like. But I have to admit, Dodge really hit a home run with the design of this car, especially externally. I mean, I realize, yeah, maybe it's got some rudimentary technology in it, although the Gen 5 is certainly the best of all the Vipers in terms of technology, in my opinion. As I mentioned, I love the ACR. I love this carbon fiber wing right here, but good night. What an absolutely gorgeous car. Look at the view from this thing. Look at the rear view of this car. I have always been in love with Vipers in terms of the way they look. I mean, look at the tires on the backside of this thing. 355s in the rear of this. I mean, it really does make a statement. What a road presence. And they just, I mean, just even this thing right here on the side, just the way this thing moves air, it is incredible what Dodge did with this, and still, in my opinion, the best looking Mopar ever made. And part of what makes the Dodge Viper GTS just so special is, of course, this bad boy. That is your naturally aspirated 8.4-liter pushrod V10. Yes, that is a 640 horsepower naturally aspirated V10, 600 pound-feet of torque. What a gorgeous specimen of a motor this is. I absolutely love it. Of course, you can see V10 8.4 liter right there in case there was any mistaking it. And of course, you do get some carbon fiber up under the hood here as well. So the hood of this car actually does not weigh very much, but I just absolutely love how this thing looks with the hood up. I think it's just very, very sharp. So you really do sit in the Dodge Viper in kind of a unique way, especially when you compare it to how other Mopars feel, because literally your sill is like right up against your shoulder, basically. It's just a very snug fit in the Viper. I know I've mentioned that in the past, but I love the gauges in this thing, always have. This is fantastic. I've always just loved that Viper right there in the steering wheel, just because I love Vipers. And as you can see, once again, you do get your infotainment screen here. Of course, all of the Vipers are manual cars. This is no exception, obviously a 6-speed manual. And of course, you've got your own cramp handle right here. And then of course, you're sitting pretty close to the passenger over here next to you, but really nicely appointed seats in the Viper. I do really like that. And of course, you've got a little storage area back here, and your cup holders are kind of behind you, which is a little bit of a different thing. And then of course, the visibility in the Viper really isn't too bad. It's got a relatively small slanted window, but you can actually see out of it okay. There are so many things that make the Viper just incredibly unique, especially when you compare it to really every other Mopar that has ever been made. Yes, it still has the push button, but listen to the V10 when this starts up. It makes a very unique sound, unlike any sort of Hellcat in like, the Demons and all, the naturally aspirated 6.4s or what. This thing makes an absolute fantastic sound, not only when you're driving it, but also just even when you start it. And just the view over this really long hood, it's just insane. Not to say that the Challengers and all that don't have long hoods on them as well, but just the rise in the middle of this with that big V10 sitting under there, I mean, just an incredibly special car. Another thing that really tells you that this is a supercar, and maybe most people wouldn't even notice this, but you actually step kind of over the sill in this as the exhaust passes through, which does get a little bit warm, so that's one of the drawbacks that some people have said. But it reminds me a lot of stepping in like an SVJ Lambo, which I've been in, or stepping in a McLaren. You have to kind of step over and in to this, and that is completely unlike any other Mopar that I've ever been in. So it's just another reason that this is just a unicorn type car. So really one of the biggest points I wanted to make about the Dodge Viper is just the price and what's happened. We all know that prices have just gone crazy across the board on everything, whether it be Hellcats and Scat Packs, whether it's Shelbys, whether it's whether it's Camaro ZL1s, whatever it may be. It's one of those things that the prices have just gone nuts, but the Viper especially, the prices have just gone absolutely insane, really over the course of, let's say, the past year, because I literally had a chance, a lot of people don't know this, but I had a chance to buy a Gen 5 Viper in 2015, not too long ago, like I said, 2 years ago, and I could have bought that car for around $70,000. It was a very low mileage, incredibly well taken care of car, and I passed up on it. I'm really kicking myself right now, because right now, these Gen 5 Vipers have gone up as much as 100% in price. I'm thinking this car should probably sit somewhere around the 65 to 70 range under normal circumstances. You can almost double that right now in terms of what these cars are bringing on the market. Insane. So, I mean, you really have to have deep pockets if you want a Dodge Viper right now. It's just crazy. Now, I will freely admit that the Dodge Viper is not exactly a scalpel. It's more of a sledgehammer, if you will. I mean, it really doesn't feel terribly refined when you're driving it. There's a little bit of play here with, the gearbox in terms of just the way that the shifter feels. It's not bad, but it definitely doesn't feel super bolt action like, say, like a ZL110E would feel. It's got the pedals that are kind of skewed really out to the left. I've mentioned this before, but it really feels like the clutch is like way out in left field. And then, of course, your legs are sort of pointed to the left in this thing. I guess it's just because the transmission in this is on the larger side and how they had to do it. It's a little cramped, but there's just something about the road presence of a Dodge Viper. When you see one, I mean, it's back when I was a little kid and I had the Dodge Viper, this thing's going nuts, but anyway, I had the Dodge Viper poster on the wall, and I have to admit that, I mean, it's just something that has always just sort of taken my breath away when you see a Dodge Viper, and it still does that to me even to this day. So even though they're not the best in terms of driving, they are still, there's just something about the road presence of a Viper that I love. I tell you, this thing still has the ability to put a huge grin on my face. Listen to the V10 in this thing. Oh, yes. You know, people have often asked me, Racer X, do you use radar detectors? And the answer is no. And this is exactly why. Because it goes off every 14 seconds. And it drives me nuts. So yeah, I realize that the Dodge Viper is not the fastest Mopar out there. You've got obviously the Demons and the Super Stocks of the world, which are also very special cars, by the way. So and very enjoyable to drive. But this is by far the most unique Mopar in my mind. Obviously, we had your old school Mopars and stuff like that, but I mean, this is still that just classic hand-built supercar that just has the most menacing look, really, of anything, and it just really is special. So in my mind, yes, the Dodge Viper is still the ultimate Mopar unicorn, and boy, it's got a serious road presence. I'm driving it around, and everybody would, you think I was driving a spaceship the way people are staring at me, so go figure. So I really wanted to keep this video kind of short for today. I really just wanted to talk about just what's happening on the prices of cars in general, but especially on the Vipers. I'm actually really pleased that Lewisville Autoplex was even able to get one of these cars, because they really are just incredibly rare to see anymore, because like I said, owners are just holding on to these things. So not the best time in the world to buy a Viper right now, just really with any performance car, but it is still, in my mind, the Mopar unicorn. I mean, I absolutely love this thing. So anyway, guys, let me know what you think about all this in the comments down below, and I'll catch you on the next one. So until then, Racer X.